Hello, Days spoiled. Johnny DiMera, the young and spirited son of E.J. DiMera and Sammy Brady, has just learned the dark truth behind his conception, a truth that is set to tear apart his world and the very fabric of the DiMera legacy. It all started on an emotionally charged Friday at the Brady pub. Johnny DiMera, consumed by anger and confusion, confronted his grandfather, Roman Brady. Johnny bitterly compared E.J. to the notorious Arnold Feniger, accusing his own father of being no different from a criminal. If Arnold Feniger is a rapist, then so is E.J. DiMera, Johnny spat, shocking Roman and everyone within earshot. Roman, stunned and visibly shaken by Johnny's words, quickly distanced himself from the painful accusation, retreating into the back of the pub to avoid further confrontation. At that moment, Kate Roberts Brady arrived, sensing immediately the tense atmosphere that hung heavily in the air. Johnny, desperate for answers and aching for honesty, turned to Kate. The young DiMera demanded the truth, sensing intuitively that Kate was withholding information critical to his understanding. Kate, always guarded but empathetic to Johnny's evident anguish, hesitated, knowing full well the explosive consequences of revealing such a devastating secret. "This isn't my story to tell," she initially resisted, urging Johnny instead to speak directly with Sammy, his mother. Yet Johnny, relentless and distraught, pressed her further, pointing out how unlikely it was that Sammy Brady would protect E.J. from anything. Realizing Johnny wouldn't rest without answers, Kate sighed deeply and finally relented, uttering words that Johnny would never forget: "Your mother is the woman your father raped." Those harrowing words resonated deep within Johnny, shattering his perception of E.J., his father, whom he had once admired despite their strained relationship. The reality that he was conceived from such an act of violence was too much for Johnny to bear calmly. His immediate fury led him straight to confront E.J. in the very heart of their family home, the luxurious yet cold DiMera mansion. On Monday, March 17, the mansion, typically a symbol of power and dominance, became the backdrop for raw, unchecked emotion. Johnny confronted E.J. with seething intensity, demanding accountability for E.J.'s horrific actions against Sammy. "I know what you did," Johnny shouted, his voice echoing through the halls. E.J. DiMera, initially puzzled by his son's aggression, quickly understood the situation when Johnny declared the truth Kate had reluctantly revealed. Johnny's anger culminated dramatically as he delivered a powerful punch to E.J., signaling the profound betrayal and disgust he felt. E.J., stunned by his son's violent outburst and overwhelmed by guilt and shame, struggled to regain composure as tears filled his eyes. Desperate for a chance to explain himself, E.J. pleaded with Johnny to listen, to understand the complexities of his past, but Johnny was unyielding. "There's nothing you can say to make this right," Johnny screamed, visibly tormented and resolute. "You're dead to me." The consequences of Johnny's declaration weighed heavily on E.J., whose sense of control was rapidly unraveling. Reeling from the confrontation, E.J. shifted his anger toward Kate, determined to confront her for exposing the truth to Johnny. Finding her later at the Brady pub, E.J. unleashed his fury, his voice trembling with rage. "You never should have told him. You had no right," E.J. growled. "You're going to regret this day." Kate, known for her own fierce strength, refused to cower under E.J.'s threats. After E.J. stormed out, leaving a trail of tension behind him, Kate's frustration boiled over, causing her to hurl a nearby object onto the table in a rare display of emotional release. While E.J. had made clear threats against her, it was evident that his enemies were multiplying rapidly, leaving him more isolated and vulnerable than ever. Unbeknownst to E.J., his threat to Kate was the least of his problems. As anger and resentment brewed around him, rumors swirled through Salem hinting that E.J.'s actions would soon catch up to him in the worst possible way. Days of Our Lives spoilers hint that E.J. DiMera is about to become entangled in a sinister mystery, one where he will find himself not as the aggressor, but the victim. With his relationships fracturing and his son disowning him, E.J. DiMera faces a looming crisis that threatens not only his freedom but perhaps even his life. Who in Salem will decide to deliver justice? And will Johnny's decision to sever ties with his father become permanent, or will there be room for forgiveness down the road? In an emotionally charged episode of Days of Our Lives, viewers were treated to a captivating yet volatile reunion between E.J. DiMera and Belle Black, a pairing that has always danced precariously on the edge of passion and turmoil. The Friday, March 10 episode opened dramatically as E.J. arrived uninvited at Belle's doorstep. His presence alone hinted at trouble, tension radiating from his usually composed exterior. Belle, caught off guard but quickly regaining her guarded composure, greeted him with obvious disdain. E.J. was undeterred, determined to break through the walls she had meticulously built. "Belle," he pleaded earnestly, his voice edged with sincerity. "Please, just listen. I've tried, but I can't stop thinking about you. Since the day you walked out, nothing's felt right." Belle's expression hardened. Her heart and mind were locked in an internal war, the memory of E.J.'s betrayal involving Jada and the accusations from Rafe and Ava still fresh and raw. "You think words can erase what you've done?" Belle fired back bitterly. "You've shown me who you really are, cruel, selfish, and completely incapable of change." E.J. stepped into the apartment, undaunted by her harsh rebuke. He insisted vehemently on his innocence, maintaining that the allegations against him had no foundation. "There's no evidence, Belle," he repeated emphatically. "They've got nothing on me, and you know that." Belle remained defiant, recounting each offense, each hurtful moment involving their mutual friends. Her voice trembled slightly, betraying lingering feelings despite her outward anger. E.J. seized upon this momentary vulnerability, stepping closer, his voice lowering to a persuasive whisper. "Belle, don't let this tear us apart. What we had is worth fighting for." In an unguarded slip, Belle angrily referred to E.J. as her boyfriend, a word that hung awkwardly in the air between them, charged with implication. E.J.'s eyes lit up, seizing on this inadvertent confession. "Boyfriend?" he echoed, grinning slyly. "Interesting choice of words." Belle's anger flared again, this time intensified by embarrassment and frustration. "I could put you in jail, E.J., she snapped. But rather than deter him, the threat seemed only to embolden E.J. He stepped closer, daring her to follow through. The tension in the room thickened, a magnetic force drawing them inexorably closer. The verbal sparring escalated, each exchange of words ratcheting up the emotional stakes. Finally, overcome by the intensity of their confrontation, passion momentarily eclipsed anger. E.J. moved boldly, closing the small gap between them, and, unable to resist any longer, Belle surrendered to the impulse she'd fought so hard against. Their heated kiss ignited quickly, pulling them back into a familiar, volatile embrace that swiftly moved toward the bedroom. Yet, moments later, reality crashed down upon Belle. As E.J. lay beside her, satisfaction evident on his face, regret overwhelmed her. Belle was instantly tormented by the gravity of their actions. "What have I done?" she whispered, panic rising. "This could ruin everything, my career, my reputation. If Paulina ever finds out." E.J., unbothered and relaxed, offered a simple solution. "Then don't tell her," he said nonchalantly. "Tell Paulina there's no case. There's no evidence, Belle. You're smarter than this, don't let an imaginary issue ruin what we could have again." Suddenly, clarity dawned on Belle. Her voice grew sharp with realization and fury. "You planned this. You came here deliberately to manipulate me into dropping the investigation." E.J.'s feigned innocence only deepened her outrage. Belle sprang from the bed, anger fueling her every movement. "I can't believe I let you fool me again," she shouted, her voice filled with self-reproach and indignation. With newfound resolve, she pushed E.J. off the bed, shocking him with the force of her rejection. "Get out, E.J. Get out right now." Stunned, E.J. gathered his clothes hastily, unable to counter her fiery rebuke. Belle's rage was uncontainable as she continued yelling, asserting her strength and autonomy with every harsh word. EJ left hurriedly, his initial triumph thoroughly deflated. Left alone, Belle collapsed onto the bed, trembling with anger and guilt. Tears welled in her eyes as she confronted the painful truth that her heart and head remained locked in battle. The cost of her impulsiveness weighed heavily upon her, the threat to her career hanging like a dark cloud. As the episode closed, the question loomed ominously: could Belle manage the fallout from her actions, or had EJ's reckless charm succeeded in sabotaging her professional life beyond repair? The emotional roller coaster of their reunion left audiences captivated and anxious, eager to see how this tumultuous chapter would unfold.